in investing in clean tech companies, but could you compare clean tech in Sweden and in France? You know, what are the strengths in our two countries respectively?
I would like to say that clean tech as an area doesn't exist. Because as we heard, it could be recycling, it could be renewable energy, it could be an app so you drive your car in a more efficient way. It could be so many things. So from a portfolio perspective as an investor, it's like saying that I invest in companies with a name starting with A. They probably have more in common than if you say clean tech. So I can't answer that question. It's so big.
Right.
And as a small investor, Alex mentioned big tickets. I'm investing small tickets. Renewable energy and big systems aren't, or sea, ocean, water, energy, whatever. We cannot do that, a small investor, because you need to be able to follow the investment until it's more or less profitable. I mean, we're talking hundreds of millions of euros in one project, more or less.
What we do is 20 million, until 20 million.
Yeah.
And then we want to exit
Yeah.
for bigger investors or...
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's so big tickets. In what I invested in a company doing software for mobile app development for Internet of Things that can be used within, measuring the temperature and things like that using sensors. You can say that that's a clean tech project, maybe, but I'm not a clean tech specialist because I don't think it exists as a market.
So a few of you mentioned that you were here because you wanted to explore collaboration opportunities with Swedish companies and in Sweden. What are you looking for more specifically, and how could that collaboration look like?
For CryoPure, it's quite clear. There are two steps. The first one would be connecting with organic waste operator who actually have to deal with a lot of waste and produce biogas and look for efficient ways of valorizing their biogas. The second step would be to find technical and engineering company with which we could partner with, because once our technology is installed, it needs to be maintained and operated by local staff. We don't. Our aim is not to create a subsidiary in every country. We want to sell our technology. So we will definitely need engineering capacities to help us give a good service for clients in the long term.
I asked the other panel about the French tech initiative that we heard about. What's your take on that? The other panel seemed to think that it was more communication, more words than action, but it sounded like a good thing to me when I heard it. But what's your take? Is it just words?
We managed to build our first industrial demonstrator with some private equity of our own. Also partnership with Suez Environment, which invested significant money in the project, and also some money from the government with a program called Investment in the Future, led by the French Environment Agency in France. And this is for real. I mean, this program amounts to about 50 billion euros in 5 years, and it helped develop new technologies. As Lars put it, even though clean tech is very diversified, lots of, if we talk energy, I will not talk any other clean techs, but if we talk energy, it's most of the time very capital intensive. And for this, I think the French government managed to create a program which makes sense because it is true that not only the R&D steps but also the industrial demonstrator doesn't give any revenue, but it costs a lot of capital, and it was very useful, this program. As for La French Tech, I only think that it was really oriented towards digital companies and to help create momentum and to I mean, even if it's communication, I think it's good, because when people in the world think France, they think gastronomy, they think Louis Vuitton, they think good Bordeaux.
Yeah.
They don't really think BlaBlaCar or many good companies that we are able to create. So I think we have to take advantage of it. It will not solve all the problem, obviously, but if it can attract foreign investments, I think it's a good project.
Bottom line, it's a good thing. Would you agree, or?
Yes, I'm a member of La French Tech. I'm very proud to be a member of it. Even if we're no more a startup, I think it's giving a very positive image, and image is sometimes very important when you have to introduce yourself to the world. When we arrived in CES in Las Vegas in Jan, you could see, you could review all the headlines of newspapers saying there are so many French companies being in Vegas this year, much more than American ones, or even much more than German ones. So to us, it was giving us credibility. It was a nice introduction, and then we can start business. That's another story. Inside of La French Tech, there are little entities, bigger ones, but at least we have some meetings where we can all share and we can support each other. So I think it's a very positive initiative.
Yeah, because we can see around the world there's so many French bashing, and we have such great companies in France that we really needed to recover a nice image. And I think we see over the world that more and more France is seen as a really innovative country. So yeah, I think it's good, even if it's only communication. Mainly.
Hopefully it's a little bit more than communication, so it seems. I would like to invite you to ask questions or make comments. There is, Katarina, there is one over there.
Hi, hello everybody. I'm Alex Di Caro. I'm working for Sony Nordic. I just want to add some comments, because we compare quite a lot Sweden and France. We talk a lot about financement, we talk a lot about entrepreneurship, but we didn't talk so much about consumer. And with my experience, I can share with you that the good thing to be here in Sweden is that with the consumer, they are very like early adopters. And that's a significant point when you're launching concept, a product. Sweden is always a good lab, I would say. And for instance, in my company, we are investing quite a lot in Sweden when we try to launch new products, when we try to check the consumer behavior. So that's a very significant point when you have a company. So I think it's very positive to invest in Sweden because you can talk quicker to the customer. So why that? The good thing is that here people have very good access to the technology. So when you talk about telecommunication, when you talk about access to internet, people are very active on that. And the second thing, that the society of Sweden is that people trust each other. So when you want to share the information, like in your case with the medical information, sometimes you can face in France a lot of constraints because people doesn't want to share the information, they don't want to be like possibly public. But here in Sweden, people are trusting more about the system of information, so that's a very significant point. So as marketers, I really think that Sweden is a very strong country for that. That's just some comment I would like to add.
Thank you. Katarina, there is a question over there. In the meanwhile, Lars, would you like to add something to that comment?
No, it's true. Sweden is a small and well-defined market, and it's easy to use Sweden as a test bed for new services, new products. And it's easy to communicate because everyone reads the same paper and talks about the same thing. And so I agree.
Hasn't Sweden become a more diverse country the last 10, 20 years? Not so, according to you.
Hey, it's me again, the 24 years old CEO.
We don't hear you.
You don't hear you.
Speak up,
Yeah.
please.
You hear me well? Okay. Sorry to talk about the funding industry again, but we just closed our Series A 1 month ago, so it was very tough. Just about this capitalistic game, here we have investors. I don't understand how the green tech can interest VC, venture capitals, because their investment thesis usually is about 5 years, and we already said that green technologies, comparing to other kinds of technologies like car sharings or things like this, are very, very much cash intensive. So it usually doesn't have an exit to this 5 years. So I don't really understand how this industry can interest venture capitals like you guys.
Yeah. Alex.
Well, industry technology are interesting for investors because there is usually patents. So once you find a really good technology, then that can change the game in a field such as like biogas liquefaction or plastic processing. And if you have a patent, you know that it's going to work. It can take time, but we are the kind of investor who have time to develop huge technology. Yeah, basically, we're investing in assets, and we really believe in the potential of these technologies. Yeah.
I would like to put a question to the rest of the panel here. We haven't really talked about the government's role, except for the French ticket here, the tech ticket. And you say that the circumstances are more positive now. 3 years ago, there was a movement called the Mouvement des Pigeons. I had a dinner with Jean-David Chambordon a few months ago, the guy behind this movement. Pigeon, that's sucker. So the association for suckers, you can say, people that were really fooled. And in 2012, the government wanted to change the tax laws. So if investors sold shares in companies like yours, the tax rate should go up from 34.5% to 60%. And this guy, Jean-David, he had a meeting with one of the ministers at that time. And the minister asked him, so what are you doing? I'm a business angel. I invest my money in loss-making companies. And the minister said, no, you're lying. Because the minister couldn't think that someone with money should invest in a company losing money. Of course, you invest in companies making money, not losing money. So there was like a gap between the politicians' view on things and reality. And that really changed things. So just a few months later, the whole legislation was changed. In 2014, they changed the law for 2013, which is illegal. But anyway, was that really a changing point, you think? That suddenly the government, which consists of people, most of them have never worked in companies. Cazeneuve and Macron have worked in companies, but the rest are just politicians. Do you think they understand now realities?
I think this example shows that they're listening now, at least, which is better than in the past. Yeah, it's a good start. And our vision as investors is that we want to make huge profits